All right. Hello, everybody. Dave Thompson here, and it's my absolute pleasure to be joined with Heidi Dening, author of Courage is Her Middle Name. Hi, Heidi. Welcome. Thanks for being here.
My pleasure. It's great to be here, Dave.
Awesome. So what we're going to do today, guys, is Heidi has been through our book writers process. She came on the, September 2018?
September. That's
September
it, yes.
2018 in book writers retreat. And she's going to share a bit of her journey because she's had some amazing successes, and I really want to share with you what is possible with your book. And Heidi is an amazing example of writing a great book and then just running with it. So let's get into it, Heidi. So before you came on book retreat, I remember you made the decision to come quite late in the piece. It kind of it kind of struck you like a bit of a lightning bolt.
It sure did.
Where were you at before you wrote the book? What was life like? What was business like? Where were you at?
Yeah, life, like it was, it was one of those things that I hadn't really had in my plan to write a book at all. People had told me, I'm a speaker and I'm a consultant. I do workshops and speaking engagements for business owners around culture and stress and burnout and resilience. And, I had noticed at many of the conferences that speakers who had books there, they seemed to have a lot more credibility and authority. And I always wondered, were they getting paid more? And people always said, if you write a book, it's far better for your speaking career. But I never felt that I just wanted to write a book for the sake of that. It was really important to me that if I was going to go down this path of writing a book, that it needed to be something that I felt really passionate about, and something that was a real message that was very important to me. So I felt that rather than forcing that process, that needed to just come out when it was ready to come out. And that's how that happened, really, because it was I remember it so specifically, sitting in my backyard on the 9th of August last year, 2018. And it was the third anniversary of a violent crime that I had survived. And although I'd got on with my life, and, business had been going well, and everything it felt like it was on track. Even, in the beginning it wasn't, of course, but then everything seemed to be on track. But on that particular day, as anniversaries do, when you think about things, I realized I still had a lot of rage. A huge amount of rage, in fact. And I had all this kind of nausea and pelvic pain for the 12 months before this particular day. And the week prior, after all these tests had come back, that I was positively healthy in every way, in every form. Specialist decided to open me up and see what was going on, because it's not normal to have all the nausea and pain that I was having. And they did find that I had stage 4 endometriosis, covering uterus, ovaries, kidney, rectum, bowel, appendix so rotted they had to remove it.
Wow.
And so that day I knew that if I didn't turn this story of rage into something positive, that it was going to continue to literally eat me and rot me from the inside out. So it was that day that I realized that this was the day something had to change. And someone who had come on one of your book writers retreats, I think the year before, Dave, not even him, I hadn't even met him, I'd met his business partner, who was just telling me about the experience he'd had. And that little message somehow came back into my brain, and I thought, well, what if I turned this story of rage into an actual story of positivity, and turned it into a self-leadership book, a story about resilience, a story about courage, and a story about, rising above adversity. And that's what I did.
And I love that. I love that. I remember when I first spoke to you, I was like, and you told me, snippets of what you just shared. And I was just like, yes. Because sometimes books can be, often what I see is books can the end of a new chapter and the start of something new, like transformative in turning something around. So That's
That's what it
fantastic.
did.
So
Yeah.
when you decided to join us,
Yes.
what were you aspiring to? Like, obviously you were hoping to write a book. Did you have any other aspirations or dreams about what you were hoping it would be at that point?
I think just, as you know, I think that date was, by the time I called you and we had our first chat, it was really only 3 weeks prior to your next retreat. Now, some may think that was crazy. That's not enough lead time for you to actually think about writing a book and then going on retreat to do it. But in fact, it felt like to me that the universe was throwing this thing right at me when I needed it, at the very perfect time. So, I was still, pretty, I was convalescing really from the surgery anyway. So if I had to be on a couch at home, why shouldn't I be on a couch in Stradbroke Island where there had people cooking me dinner and massaging me and coaching me and mentoring me? I mean, God, how could I ask for anything better, really? So at the time, really, I wanted some kind of personal let go. I needed to get this out. But the other part of it was, I did not want this to be just like an autobiography of my story. It was really important to me that there was a message that I could share with the world, and that the lessons and the learnings and that I have been able to extract from the stories, that particular crime one, but also stories over decades of my life from around the globe. And I really wanted to extract the best parts of that and share them with others so that they could really find the courage in themselves to, step up and speak out and share their unique brilliance with the world and be the self-leaders they were destined to be. And I just felt that if I could do that, wow, what an amazing thing that I could turn that story that was not so great in my life. It would really turn it into something fabulous.
That's awesome. So it was really for you, it was connecting to that personal, like it being personally very meaningful for you to do this, and also seeing the contribution aspect of like almost the legacy or impact piece of how that could help people through the work that you do.
Absolutely. And, as you kept telling me, just get this message out, Heidi, get this message out, because if one person in the whole world has a positive experience from reading this book, then that is something really, really good. And I loved that about, don't need to make it so perfect. Don't worry that it's not, perfection is a fairy tale. I kept just saying perfection is a fairy tale. There was a lot of tweaking, but I just try to keep that in mind, that if this book can help one person, then what an extraordinary gift I've given myself and them.
Totally. And I think that mindset for anyone watching who's thinking about writing a book and is maybe putting pressure on themselves to make it a big thing, if you just have that goal of just make impact for one person, there is like a spaciousness to that. And we'll talk in a moment about all the amazing things that have happened in your business and in your speaking career and all those things, because some amazing things did happen and are happening and continue.
Oh yeah.
But just before we get there,
unpredictable things.
Unpredictable. It's just out of
unpredictable.
I guess a bit like the lightning bolt that hit you to say go to the island.
Correct.
I think that's another point to just emphasize for people too, is like you knew it was time to write the book, and you were courageous enough to take action on that. And sometimes people aren't courageous to, when they get that knock on the shoulder, hey, this is your step. So good on you for taking that, because look what's happened now. It was obviously the way to go.
It was definitely the way to go. I'm glad I took that little step of faith and dug deep to find my courage to write it, because it's not an easy thing, but it's something that I will be forever grateful that I did.
Awesome. And maybe tell us a little now about the journey. So the journey of writing and of publishing, like being on the island. because yes, there was a lot of sunshine and rainbows, but you also hit some sticking points. So, what would you like to share with us around your experience there?
Well, I suppose firstly there was that, partly was I'd made such a quick decision, so I hadn't had a lot of mind space to think about what this was all going to be. What is the real important message that I want to tell the world from this book? So that was just continuing to unfold while I was in this amazing environment on Stradbroke Island, surrounded by 2 other amazing book writers and book writing coaches. And I suppose because in my normal world and in normal circumstances, that was really throwing myself in with not enough time and thought process. I usually like to be a lot more prepared, I hate being unprepared. Hate it. So that was a real, that was tough for me to just go, stuff it, I'm going anyway. Let's just see what happens. So there was that, first of all. But then being there and, distraction free, a beautiful thing to be distraction free, so that nobody, phones off, devices are off. I am just head down, but I'm getting those words onto paper, letting them come out just as they are. It's just brain dump. Don't think this is like first version. And that was another part of it, that, oh gosh, what I'm writing is really crap right now, but that's okay. Just get it out of my head. So there were so many things that I was learning and finding that I really had to push through my previous way of doing anything. But it was actually a really good process for me, because it made me believe that, especially now on reflection, that just get this stuff done, just get it done. Because you can fix things along the way, but it's taking that first step that makes the big difference. And then once you've taken that first one, just take the next one and the next one. And to be surrounded though with such amazing people who can guide me in every way, that just made such a difference, because I wouldn't have believed that I had enough skill at all to get this thing done. And I didn't really. I just kept doing it. That was all that was happening. I just kept doing it.
I love that. What I'm really hearing there is that you just really trusted the process.
Yeah.
And from a facilitator perspective, that was my experience of you being as a participant. We said, approach it this way, consider it this way, adopt these beliefs, take these actions, have rest at these times. And you were just like, okay.
If you say so.
And it happened. And so I really have to thank you for your trust and acknowledge that, because I think that's something that stops people from writing books, is they don't trust themselves, or they don't, if they're with, or they don't trust themselves enough to take that first step. But you did.
Well, what I really loved about the structure was, at breakfast time, you made me set a goal, right? At morning tea, what's the goal to morning tea? Now and I could say I either want to finish that particular chapter, or I want to write that many words, or I need to get that story out, whatever it was. It went on the whiteboard, and then I was checked at morning tea, and that happened all day long. And to me, I love being accountable, because once I say I'm going to do it, I'll always do it. So that just really pushed me along, in a not in a horrible way, but in a really good way. It just kept making me take action and moving forward and just keep going. And I loved that about the process. That was really awesome.
Awesome. Yeah, for sure. Because it's like, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time.
Correct.
Unless you're vegan, in which case you eat the tofu.
That's right. Covered in coconut.
So with the whole the whole like write and publish process, what would you say was your highlight of that?
Oh, I think on my ebook launch night was definitely my highlight. Well, if I step back a bit before that, there was then, after being on Stradbroke, there was the opportunity for all the editing versions that we go through with your process, which was really brilliant to get that feedback on how it was sounding. And, you know, from, of course, you know, like they say, you can't see the label when you're inside the jar. So I never knew, like, have I written a crap book? Like, am I just going to embarrass myself to the entire world?
I think a lot of people have those thoughts.
Yeah, I definitely did. And of course, you know, because that first version is really just that brain dump version, you know, it's not very good, really. And you've just...
It was pretty good. It was pretty good.
No.
Heidi, you've got very, very high standards. But it did need some refinement. And I think that's normal.
Correct.
That's normal.
Big time. Yeah.
And that's part of the process is to dump and then refine.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. But the beauty of it is, it's like, the dump's really good, just get it out, you know, because you've got something to work with. You know, you've got to get paint on the canvas. It's got to start with that. If you just keep looking at it, it won't move. And so that, despite driving myself nuts and probably you nuts with how many tweaks and changes I needed to do.
You were fine.
My husband could have probably divorced me just with how often I was tweaking and changing. But he has promised me that I will not write any more books for 2 years at the very bare minimum.
Right.
Even though there's some going on in my mind. Anyway. Yeah, but definitely the highlight was on the night of ebook launch. And I have to say, like, that day though, I was filled with imposter syndrome, big time. A neighbor texted me in the afternoon to say, how you going? And I actually burst into tears because I thought, who the hell's going to come to this Facebook Live tonight? I mean, who will buy my book? I am such an idiot to think that this book is anything worthy of people buying. Like, really, it was full on that afternoon. But you were there to support me so much. And of course, I didn't understand any of the technical part at all. None of it. But I just knew that you were there in the background through the entire night, doing what you do, you know, sharing all your gold with what you ever do in the background.
Just making sure it keeps going like this. Just making sure everyone's got coconuts. Is everyone got a drink? We're good.
Yeah. Add a link to purchase my book.
Add a link to purchase. Yeah.
Yeah. But it was just, you know, once I started and just talking and people were coming on, and it was like, oh my God, this is real now.
It's working. Really real. It's working.
Look, there's people there and they're pressing buy now. And so I couldn't, after that, it all finished that night. I was awake the entire night, just completely buzzing with far out. Like, I've just stepped into a whole new world of my life. It's a whole new chapter, literally, of my life. And that night I felt was such a kind of tipping point for things. Yeah. So I still get goosebumps thinking about it.
Wow. I hadn't had the debrief with you about
No.
Wow, that's awesome. And guys, the guys listening, Heidi went #1 Amazon bestseller. I'm just going to read out the categories here because I've got them. I think there was at least 4, if not more. There was #1 in women in business, #1 in business leadership, #1 in business management, and #1 in business and economics, which is actually the biggest category in business on Amazon. And you were #1 ahead of Scott Pape, The Barefoot Investor, which people will know as a very, very, very hot selling book in Australia of recent years. And then you were also #1 in hot new releases in business as well. So there was a whole swag of awards collected that night.
There was. And I still have the screenshot that my book was ahead of Tony Robbins, Brené Brown, Simon Sinek, and Richard Branson, and The Barefoot Investor. And I was like, is that real or is that photoshopped? I don't know.
It's very real.
It was very real. So that was amazing. Yeah.
Awesome. And so maybe now, if you could share with us, because you know, once you launch your book, there's lots of different pathways that people can take books. You know, some they set up the evergreen Facebook ad and they do free plus shipping. Other people like lead into workshops. But for you, it was really you really took the publicity route and took that for speaking gigs as well. So I'd love for you to share with us, so what happened after the launch? Like how did you take it forward? What did you do?
Yeah, sure. Well, I'd made a decision that there was going to be 2 launches. There was going to be my online ebook launch. That was really the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
But then I was also going to do a physical media launch. So that was at the beginning of the month, the ebook launch, and then at the end of the month, we were doing the physical launch in a groovy bar in the city.
Mm-hmm.
So leading up to that, I had engaged a publicist to help me. Really, I started the conversation about, well, this is what I'm doing. This is what I've done. Can you help me with the actual event launch? That was the beginning of the conversation. And so she said, look, let me read the book. Let me see if there's anything in it. So she went away and she read the book, and, she was blown away, she said, about the stories and the messaging and what she felt that the book could achieve if we just got the communication point, the publicity point right. So she really partnered with me to help me make sure that we're going to maximize the opportunities. And so firstly, that started with actually having a book. I needed to have a book.
There it is, right there.
There it is. Her middle name is Courage. I needed to have a book, first of all, because, certainly I have been talking about these messages in my business beforehand, but to have a product, whoa, what a difference. So that was the first thing. Secondly, because the ebook launch went so very well, and due to all the work that you guys do to make that happen, because everything was focused down to making that a success with everything you supported me with and educated me with. So I then had all these #1 best-selling statuses. I could say that I've all the accolades, I'm ahead of this person, that person, blah blah blah, with the screenshots. She could then take that to market, because that's saying something.
Yes.
So that again was just to have that, because if I just had the book without all the accolades, it was just that other piece of the puzzle that made her job so much easier. Now, what happened after that was that Sydney Bridge Climb, through her, found out about my book and about the messaging and about how well the ebook launch had done. And so they then asked me to be one of their ambassadors for International Women's Day this year. And I then, on International Women's Day, got to walk up the bridge, as you do, with all these other real influencers who were also chosen, who were in their field, in media, sport, politics. We were interviewed at the top of the bridge about many things to do with International Women's Day. For me, there was the messaging with my book. They then created, of course, they've got a far bigger video budget than I have. So they then created this amazing video that I was able to share on social media. And so that there was just so much with that. The Sydney Morning Herald were there waiting for me when I came back down to interview me about my book and my messaging. So that was really incredible.
And for anyone watching this internationally, the Sydney Morning Herald is, would you say, one of the premier news newspapers in Australia?
It is, yes, definitely. Yeah, definitely. Because of the book, someone had sent me something with the New South Wales government. They selected me as in their Inspirational Women's Showcase for Entrepreneurship and Empowerment.
Wow.
So I'm on their website for that, and I've got a video of me talking about my book and showing the book and all that. Oh, no, I didn't. And that was when I did this thing and I forgot to show my book. But anyway, I said it out loud. So that happened. And then, we had the media launch.
Which looks spectacular, by the way. Holy Batman. The coverage of that was just magic.
It was. And again, that went out to different media, and we had all media who were showing up, and they were sharing things throughout the night. They were sharing video footage and photographs and pictures of the book and tagging. And so it was really, apart from being able to share it with my family and my friends and close business colleagues, which was really important to me because this is such a monstrous milestone for me that I wanted to celebrate it with them. But I also wanted it to turn it into an opportunity that we could use it again for just scaling the communication around it, which was definitely out to happen. But so from that, there was a guy who owns a speakers agency in the room, and post-event, a couple of days later, he called me and has booked me for 3 huge speaking engagements.
Amazing.
Sydney, Melbourne and Brisbane, yeah. The one in Sydney is going to be at the new International Convention Centre with over 1,000 people.
Wow.
Yeah,
and that's your thing, right? Your
yes.
Speaking is your thing. So
yes.
Wow.
So that was incredible. But I think the greatest, fabulous thing that I've been able to do is that I've had some celebrities request my book.
Yes. Tell us about this. They're all over it.
Oh my gosh. And so I've been able to write, because I'm doing it. I'm now selling my book from my website.
Yes.
And it's still on Amazon, but I'm selling from my website. So I'm doing the packaging at the moment to get them out. So I got to write on envelopes to send my book with personal notes to Deborah Hutton, Melissa Doyle from Channel 7 and Sarah Murdoch. So that was very cool. From that, Melissa Doyle's already read it. She loved it. She has referred me onto another speaking engagement where she's speaking with some world-renowned chef and me and her. So yeah, seriously, these crazy things just keep happening.
It's almost like, maybe I'll ask you, because you've probably got the best reflection on this. What has this whole thing done for your profile as a speaker?
Massive improvement. Yeah. Again, it's just, to have this in your hands. I had already a booking for a presentation, was at Luna Park, quite a big conference. And for the very first time, they always say to speakers, if you've got books to sell, you can do that in the expo part, but I've never had that. But this time I did. And so I was able to seed through my presentation that I had this book. I was able to gift it during my presentation for things I was doing, but then refer to it come and see me in the expo, which, I sell the book for $22. That's not making me a fortune, but the book has been positioned in a way that will lead to other things. And those people are now in front of me talking one-on-one. That allows me to find out, what are their challenges? Who are they working with? Is there any opportunity for me to do business with them ongoing? Which is, such an added bonus to being able to do that.
Such a conversation starter, isn't it?
Correct. Yeah, it is. And
conversation these days is what leads to business.
Correct. Exactly. Yeah.
Wow.
So that's been beautiful to have that opportunity to do.
So massive profile raise. Your TV personalities are like, give me your book, I want it, and then referring. It really sounds like the opportunity wheel for you is just going whoa.
Yeah, and I don't know what I'm doing most of the time. I'm just I just keep saying yes. I just say yes, and then I work it out how to do it, and because that's really been all that's happened with this book. I just keep saying yes, and it works itself out. So
that's amazing.
Yeah, it's been brilliant.
So Heidi, for anyone thinking about doing a book, maybe they've had the tap on the shoulder. Maybe they've had the tap on the shoulder for years. Yeah. What would your advice to them be now that you've been through, that you said yes, you have been through the process? What would you say to them?
Look, I get that. If you're thinking about writing a book, you have a lot of fears about if what you're writing is worthy to put in a book. Who will read it? Who do I think I am to think I can write a book that someone will then want to buy? I have felt that fully. on many occasions through this process. But the thing I've learned is that you just have to keep putting one step in front of the other. When you're trying to do something yourself, procrastination will definitely set in, and all those fears will just keep bubbling away and prevent you from doing what you were probably destined to do. Because if you're even thinking about writing a book, there's a story there. There's something. There is something that just needs a little bit of fuel for the fire to kind of make it bubble out. But I just think when you do a process like what you are offer, Dave, that supports you in all the different points along the way, then you've got nothing to lose. You've got nothing to lose, because if you don't do it, you just continue to beat yourself up about not doing it. So just make it happen. Just take that first step. Trust in the fact that people before you have felt like you have, and there is a lot of guidance and support and education, and people will help to extract the things that you need in the areas that you perhaps are not feeling really strong about or confident in. People are there to really extract those things and support you and make them okay.
Awesome. Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you. Cool day. Thank you. Heidi, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom today. I know a lot of people will be really inspired to have heard your story. Again, thank you for your trust in us to lead you through the process. And I wish you all the very best for the future and for the ongoing success of your book. And who knows, we might see you in a couple of years once your husband imposed non-book writing time has expired.
Correct. I'm working on that.
Awesome. And guys, so final thing, if you would like to check out Heidi's work, Heidi, where's the best place for people to find you?
If they go to my website, HeidiDening.com, HeidiDening.com, under the author tab, you'll find information about my book and lots of other different bits and bobs. But follow me on socials. They're all /Heidi Dening. Love to have a chat. Even if you want to email me and just say, "Oh, I'm not sure. What do you think?" I'd be happy to have a chat to you about that as well. So Please feel free to do that.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Heidi.
My pleasure. Thanks, Dave.